Good afternoon to you. I am Narayanan here, R. Narayanan. Perhaps you know that I used to take, even now also, I am taking classes for the section officers and civil service also. Many of you have been my students, and because of lockdown, I take online classes. And now many people are asking me to have these online classes for the entire SO course. So I thought I will start online classes one by one. So, but this is only for the examination purpose. That is, the aim is to get through the examination. So, I have accordingly made the notes. You can, if necessary, you can take down, you can scribble down the notes. Today we are taking CCS CCA Rules. Now, this is also called disciplinary rules. You know, the government servants are governed by 4 constitutional provisions. Article 309, 310, 311 and 320. Excuse me. Under Article 309, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, appropriate legislature, that is Parliament for central government employees and state legislatures for state government officials, can make law to regulate the recruitment and conditions of service of the persons deployed at the service of the Union or at the service of the states. Till a law is made for the appropriate legislature, it is competent for the President or the Governor, as the case may be, to make rules regarding the recruitment and conditions of service of such employees placed at the disposal of the central government or state governments. So, the powers to make rules are vested with the President or the Governor, as the case may be, till a law is made by the appropriate legislature. Appropriate legislature means Parliament in the case of union employees and state governments in the case of state officials. Subject to the provisions of the Constitution. It is given in the Article 309. So, the first line itself says, subject to the provisions of the Constitution. What does it imply? It implies that the powers of the legislature to make law and the rule-making powers of the executive should not contradict, should not be contrary to any provisions contained in the Constitution, especially in Article 14, 15, 16, 19, 98, 146, 187, 229 and 234. The terms subject to the provisions of the Constitution imply that the recruitment rules should not violate the above articles in addition to 309, 310, 311 and 320. So, 309, 311 and 320, these 3 articles, 310 is doctrine of pleasure, 311 is procedural safeguards for imposing penalty, and 320 is consultation of UPSC wherever necessary. These 3 should always be observed in framing the recruitment rules. In addition to that, whatever recruitment rules we make, it should be in consonance with Article 14, 15, 16, 19, 98, 146, 187, 229 and 234. So, the recruitment rules should be in synchronization with these rules, these articles in the Constitution. That is why the Article 309 says, subject to the provisions of the Constitution. What are the provisions? Whatever provisions I have told you, this will govern, this should be kept in mind in making recruitment rules. The next article is Article 310. which is otherwise called the doctrine of pleasure. Remember, doctrine of pleasure. What does it mean again? Except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. The first line is, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, every person who is a member of defense service or all India service and who is holding a civil post either in the central government or in the state governments hold their post during the pleasure of the president or the governor. So they hold their post, all government servants, irrespective of the fact whether they belong to all India service, central civil service, or any service, let them be defense service, wherever it is. If they are getting salary from the Consolidated Fund of India, all such government servants hold their post during the pleasure of the president or the governor, as the case may be. Again, here also, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. What does it mean? Except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, every person holding a civil post or holding all India services or belong to the defense services hold their post during the pleasure of the president or governor, as the case may be. So it also implies that doctrine of pleasure given in Article 310 does not apply to the constitutional authorities like judges of Supreme Court or High Court, CAG, or election commissioners and other functionaries created by the Constitution. This doctrine of pleasure does not apply. Then there is a special procedure prescribed in the Constitution itself. So if we want to remove these authorities, the provisions given in Article 300 and respective articles should be followed. So doctrine of pleasure does not apply to constitutional authorities. You cannot say they hold their post during the pleasure of the president. No doubt, president is the appointing authority, but does not mean they can be removed as like other government servants. For them, there is a separate procedure given in the Constitution itself. Unless that procedure is followed, they cannot be removed. That is the meaning of subject to the that is the meaning of except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. Remember, this doctrine of pleasure also implies that any government servant can be removed or dismissed at any time without reason, without notice, and without cause of action for wrongful dismissal. Remember, any government servant, so long he is holding the post during the pleasure of the president or governor, as the case may be, can be dismissed or removed at any time without reason, without notice, and without cause of action for wrongful dismissal. This is the doctrine of pleasure. Remember, then we are coming to Article 311, which itself is an exception to Article 310. So, Article 310, what is the first line says? Except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. So, Article 311 itself is an exception to Article 310. So, Article 311 provides the government servant two procedural safeguards. What is the first safeguard? The first safeguard is that no government servant can be dismissed by under any circumstances. No government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. Remember, no government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. This is number one. This is the first safeguard. What does it mean? Every government servant, before being removed or dismissed, he should be provided an opportunity, and that can be done. The removal can be done only by an authority who appointed him or to whom that authority is subordinate. So that means either the same rank officer or above the rank. Only those officers can dismiss. That is, again read it, no government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. Very important article. Secondly, what is the second safeguard? The second safeguard is the government servant cannot be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank. No government servant can be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank except after given an opportunity of being heard in person. Remember, no government servant can be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he is informed of the charges and is given an opportunity of being heard in person. So, these are all the two procedural safeguards. Number one is no government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. Number one, no government servant can be dismissed, removed or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he is informed of the charges and is given an opportunity of being heard in person. The second safeguard is popularly known as oral inquiry, which is provided in Rule 14, Rule 15, Rule 16, etc. of CCA rules. This is popularly known as oral inquiry. The first safeguard, remember, the first safeguard. What is the first safeguard? No government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. This cannot be dispensed with under any circumstances. This cannot be suspended. This cannot be dispensed with under any circumstances. However, the second safeguard, that is the oral inquiry, can be dispensed with in three circumstances. It can be dispensed with. What are the circumstances? Number one, criminal conviction. Number two, inexpediency. Number three, impracticability. These are all the three circumstances under which the second safeguard. What is the second safeguard? No government servant shall be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank except after inquiry in which he is informed of the charges and is given an opportunity to be heard in person. This safeguard can be dispensed with in three circumstances. What are the three circumstances? Criminal conviction, inexpediency, and impracticability. That is, where a government servant has been dismissed or removed on the ground of his conduct which has led to his conviction on a criminal charge. Again I repeat, where the government servant has been dismissed or removed on the ground of his misconduct which has led to his conviction on a criminal charge. No inquiry is needed. Article 311, second safeguard can be dispensed with. Number two, where the President of India is satisfied that in the interest of security of state, it is not expedient to hold an inquiry. Remember, no inquiry is needed. Second safeguard given in Article 311 is dispensed with for obvious reason. Need not require any explanation. Third, where the disciplinary authority is satisfied that for the reasons to be recorded in writing that it is not reasonably practicable to hold an inquiry. Remember, it is necessary to record in writing why the inquiry is dispensed with. Again read it. If the disciplinary authority is satisfied that for the reasons to be recorded in writing that it is not reasonably practicable to hold an inquiry. So, that is impracticability. It is not possible. Suppose let us say, God forbid, in your office, in your section, a small girl was joined recently, very young girl of 20-21 years. She has been molested in the open office. About 30 people in the hall sitting and some visitors are also there. In the open office, she has been molested. Will you conduct inquiry? But remember, the Supreme Court orders are that you should give every reason, all possible evidences should be recorded, and that non-conducting of inquiry should be justified in writing in file. So, in the case of second instance, it is not there, where the President of India is satisfied that it is not expedient to hold an inquiry in the interest of security of state. Obviously, there is no need to disclose. On the other hand, here, where the disciplinary authority is satisfied that for the reasons to be recorded in writing that it is not reasonably practicable to hold an inquiry. So, in these three cases, the Article 311, second safeguard is dispensed with. So, remember, Article 311 provides two procedural safeguards. Number one is no government servant can be dismissed or removed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. Second is no government servant can be dismissed or removed or reduced in rank except after an inquiry in which he is informed of the charges and is given reasonable opportunity of being heard in person. The second safeguard, that is the oral inquiry, can be dispensed with in 3 circumstances, the circumstances being criminal conviction or inexpediency or impracticability. These are all the 3 circumstances in which Article 311 second safeguard can be dispensed with. Nevertheless, remember, in the first case, that is the criminal conviction, a small, that is a skeleton inquiry should be held, which we will read in dealing with Rule 19 of CCA CCA Rules 1965. Now we are coming to CCS CCA Rules 1965. We are starting now. CCS CCA means, remember, Central Civil Service. Classification, control and appeal. You should know the full form. CCS CCA Rules. CCS is Central Civil Service. What is CCA? Classification, control and appeal rules 1965. Now very often it is a confusion. CCS CCA Rules 1965, CCS CCA Rules 1965 and CCS Conduct Rules 1964. How do you remember this? Why this CCS Conduct Rules 1965 and CCS CCA Rules 1964? Why can't it be? So many people, very often we get confused. So how to clear this? Remember, if you employ a servant in your house, what will you say to the servant, to any person whom you want to employ for your domestic help? What will you say? You will say you should come at 6 o'clock, you should clean the utensils, you should clean the floor, all you will provide her or him the code of conduct. What she or he should come, at what time he should come, what are the duties he should do, all these things you will explain. And simultaneously, if you say, if you come late, if you do not work properly, if you are going early without permission, if you are chit-chatting, then remember, I will discharge you. I will not pay you the salary. So, first code of conduct, second discipline. So, CCS conduct rules came first, 1964. CCS CCA rules came second, 1965. Remember, these are all the 2 rules which are very important for governing the conduct of the government servant. One is CCS Conduct Rules 1964, another is CCS CCA Rules 1965. So, first came the CCS Conduct Rules, second came the CCS CCA Rules. Now, how we will first come to what is known as the CCS CCA Rules when it came to effect. When does it came effective? What is the time? It came into effect in 1st December 1965. When it came? 1st December 1965. Now first we will see what are the definitions. What are the definitions? First we will see appointing authority, because very often it comes. Appointing authority means any authority who is competent to make appointment to the post held by the government servant, to the service to which he belongs, to the grade to which he belongs, and who actually appointed the government servant. Remember, there are four identities for every government servant. The government servant, that is any authority who is competent to make appointment to the post, who is competent to make appointment to the grade, who is competent to make appointment to the service, and who has actually appointed the government servant. Of these 4, who is the highest authority? That authority is the appointing authority. Remember, very important. Very important. What is the definition of appointing authority? The authority who is competent to make appointment to the post held by the government servant, who is competent to make appointment to the grade held by the government servant, who is competent to make appointment to the service to which the government servant belongs, and the authority who actually appointed the government servant. 4. Of these 4, who is the highest authority? That authority is the appointing authority. See, every person, suppose let us say a personal assistant. He is personal assistant to the director administration. So, the post. He belongs to CSSS. He belongs to Central Secretariat's stenographer service, CSS, and he belongs to the grade. Let us say his grade pay is 4,800. So all the three is only one. And who actually appointed him? He was appointed by which authority? Find out the authority who appointed him. Of the four, who is the highest authority? That authority is the appointing authority. So for a girl, you take a girl. That girl may be a daughter to her father. That girl may be a wife to her husband. That girl may be a sister to her brother. And that girl may be a mother to her daughter or son. The same girl. The relationship differs depending upon the person before whom she is placed. Similarly, every government servant has four identities. One is grade, another is service, another is post, and fourth is who actually appointed him. What is the rationale of this? I will tell you an example. Let us say Mr. A, he is a grade D employee, peon. Let us say peon, orderly. He has been appointed in the intelligence bureau in Leh. He was recruited by the additional director in charge of what is called lay. It is all example only. Remember, no concrete. So that fellow, that officer is of the rank of joint secretary. He has recruited this person, a peon. Now he worked there for 5 to 6 years. Because of domestic reasons, he got transferred to the North Block, IB office in the North Block. He did some mischief, he did some misconduct, and he has been removed from service. Here, who is the disciplinary authority for imposing the major penalty in North Block? Assistant director. But who appointed him? Additional director of the rank of joint secretary, here under secretary. So he had removed the person from service. With who removed? Under secretary. Who appointed him? Joint secretary. He has wittingly or unwittingly contradicted the first safeguard. He had violated the first safeguard. What is the first safeguard? No government servant can be removed or dismissed by any authority who is subordinate to the appointing authority. So he had violated this provision, this safeguard, by removing the government servant who was appointed by a higher authority. So only joint secretary rank officer can remove the person because he was appointed by the joint secretary officer. He cannot be removed by an officer belonging to the under secretary grade. So he has violated. That is why when you decide the appointing authority, you have to see who is competent to make appointment to the post, who is competent to make appointment to the grade, who is competent to make appointment to the service, and who actually appointed the government servant. Of the four, who is the highest authority? That authority is the appointing authority. So, that authority is the appointing authority. Remember, this is how you should decide. So, we will continue the class in the next one. Hereafter, every day, we will try to keep the CCS CCA rule, then we will come to CCS conduct rule, then we will come to pension rule, then FRSR, then DFPR, then GFR, everything which is in the syllabus of section officers, we will try to cover. Thank you, and give your opinion, give your comment, so that any improvement I can make, I can make. Thank you.